What's up, everybody? This is Mighty. Today's content's going to be a little bit different than all my daily content, and don't worry, tomorrow it's going to go back to normal. But today I noticed that on YouTube, Mortdog got his channel banned, and a lot of that looks like it's due to some falsely reporting his videos. And he had a video recently that kind of addressed the recent outrage towards him, and I haven't watched it yet, but I wanted to go through it with everybody and kind of give my thoughts on the situation. All right, guys, let's just go ahead and get into it. This is a TFT clips video. Since Mortdog's currently banned, I can't figure or find anything on his screen. And maybe I'll check into Twitter and you'll see some Twitter images pop up throughout. But I'm just going to get into it.
Generally, I've been doing this for a while now. And it's always tricky because doing this thing where I'm the visible face of TFT, there are a lot of people that have been in a position that I'm in that it gets to their head. They start taking credit for everything that their team does. And I've never wanted to be that kind of developer. So
I'm just going to go ahead and stop it there. Mortdog is in a very kind of precarious position because he's given access to everyone in the TFT community, the head developer. Like, we can actually talk to him. This isn't something that normally happens anywhere. And I work at a corporate job, so things like this are kind of unprecedented. Like, you don't normally want to do this because you'll get so much backlash and things like that. So him putting himself in this position is very vulnerable for him, and people need to understand that as well.
I want to be the human shield for the team, because making games is a team effort. It always is. I do my part. I do what I can to help the team, but it's still a team effort, right? You can't do it without the team.
And that's a good quality to have in a leader.
That's always been important. And God, I'm already starting. Fuck off.
Yeah, you have to work as a team anytime you're doing anything that involves game creation, any corporate environment.
And thought 4 years of doing this would have earned a lot of trust, but the Draven stuff yesterday or 2 days ago, I'm losing track of time. It really took a lot out of me at first, because after 4 years, like, we fixed it in a day, and that's not a new thing. That's not abnormal.
Guys, fixing it in a day is actually incredible when you look at the track record of other games. So I still don't know a lot of the background, so forgive me there. And I know in the face of the TFT community, I'm honestly a tiny percentage of that. I only have 169 subs right now, and I appreciate every one of you. But compared to the vast majority, I'm more of just a player than a content creator. So I'm looking at this from just a player perspective, not a content creator's. I don't care about that. But fixing something in a day, think about this. Every other game, let's go with, great example, Fortnite. Fortnite, whenever something's broken, the sword from whatever season that was. I know that was insanely broken because even though I don't play Fortnite, I love to watch all kinds of esports. And that was in there for probably the entire season, I would think. And I might be incorrect on that fact. But even if you go back to all the Call of Duties, like dual shotguns in Call of Duty were really broken for multiple months. They didn't fix it. You have to think about that from a perspective of all games, not just this one, because they do update things really frequently in comparison to other games.
Normal. Like, we've been doing this a lot now. We're fast. When something's broke, we fix it. Sometimes you can't see the limitations. For example, the locket thing, right? Like, the locket thing, you didn't see that we had already touched the Bastion file in the micro patch, so we couldn't adjust Bastion more with something like their armor and MR duration, so we had to do something, and the Locket was like the best option out of bad options, other than leave Locket Bastion being the dominant strat for a week. And that's, even when I try
honestly,
to
if they leave
that,
it as the
isn't always clear.
number one for a week, that's fine.
We do the best we can to fix the game as quickly as we can. But the amount of memeing and destruction on the Draven thing was really rough. For example, I saw a lot of people memeing my third tweet that said, "Don't expect a B patch." All that tweet said was, "Don't expect it." It didn't say it wasn't happening. It just said, "Hey, don't get your hopes up for a B patch." And so,
Don't expect a B patch. I mean, to be fair, the community has a right to meme some, at least. So you kind of have to take that in stride with the position you're in as the head developer and also just this content creator. So I do think the community can meme as much as they want on things like that. But knowing that it's going to get fixed soon. It'll get fixed, but we're going to meme as a community.
Seeing that become a chat copy pasta, again, after 4 years of the team building up this rep, really kind of stung a bit. There were definitely some tweets. Hilariously enough, they were tweets from people like you wouldn't expect, like people I thought were more pillars of the community. I'm going to call him out, but I actually like this person, so don't take it out on this person. But like Gooba, I saw Gooba shit-talking the Draven patch pretty hard. And I was like, really, dude? That one kind of hurt, you know? And it's like, Lobby 2.
Okay, from a player's perspective, they're going to fuck up at some points. But also, from a development perspective, you need to understand that it's such a wide community that you're going to get backlash on these. Even if the patch is insanely good, I think there's always going to be some backlash. It's just that the Draven patch was so dominant that that the community decided they were going to be a little harder than normal. And I think that has to be taken in stride. And maybe some of the things that people said were out of pocket, which if they're talking out of pocket, you know, saying, oh, it's all Mort's fault, it's a team. But even if they're just saying like, oh, this team's terrible, like what the fuck is going on? What do they do with their day-to-days? Come on, guys. Everyone knows that they do their best. And we can shit talk a patch at least a little bit because it wasn't a great patch. But at the same time, we need to make sure to keep the devs in mind, like more. Since we have access to them, we don't need to be out of pocket when we're talking about it.
2 was doing its thing. But I did what I could. And the other thing too is I'm human. I've got, you know, my emotions, my temper. And so what I had to do to try to stabilize was I left everything. I left Lobby 2, the TFT Discord, the competitive Discord. I couldn't read it anymore. It was just too
good. Honestly, Yishi should probably just stay out of all that stuff, in my opinion. Like, maybe you have just your Discord and you're in like the main TFT Discord, but stay out of all the extra stuff, man. Keep your head out of the weeds too much because that's going to hurt your mental health.
Too much. And I was going to say something I regretted, which, you know, I've done in the past before.
And good on you for holding back. If you didn't hold back, I don't know about it yet.
For any of you introverts, I think you know how this is. When things suck, you close off, you wall off, and you just focus on what you can do. So I bottled up the emotions, and I went into work, and we fixed it. Like, that's what I focused on. I focused on working with Phil and working with Tim and working with the QA team and just getting the patch out and focusing on and fixing it. Which was interesting.
As you should, and that's really normal.
Closed myself off from social media. I didn't see a lot of what was going on after around 10 on Wednesday, 10 a.m. But up until that point, it was brutal. Obviously, there were some really big ones out there as well. Setsuko's tweet and clip definitely raised some eyebrows. Shout outs to my comms team.
I didn't see Setsuko's tweet. So it looks like he took that tweet down and kind of just said, hey, back off a little bit, which is good on him. If anyone has a picture of the original tweet, send it to me. I just want to see what it was. And I know I'm a little bit late on coming into this, but honestly, I started a new job last week and I've just been out of pocket a little bit, just trying to keep up with all the daily content.
Because I definitely had a really adverse reaction to Setsuko's thing, but usually when that happens, I message my comm guys. I'm like, hey, here's this thing, and they talk me down off a ledge, which is really nice. Because that's something else I think a lot of people don't see, is that while I'm often the face of TFT, a lot of the times if I'm saying something spicy or I'm, you know, about to do something weird, I double check with my comms team just to like, any red flags here? Should I not be saying this? Generally, I'm pretty good about it, so there's not major.
Actually, before I get any further, I'm going to look and make sure that I'm not missing. All right. Before I get any further here, I'm going to look and make sure that I'm not missing anything, like any kind of crucial information. His last tweet was about how he got removed from YouTube. And if anyone on YouTube or that is on YouTube's team is watching this, please go ahead and fix this man's YouTube channel. Fix this man's YouTube channel. Hashtag free Mort. It says the account was terminated due to multiple severe violations of nudity or sexual content. This man?
Anything, but it's still nice to have that safety net. Anyway, TLDR, like I said, a lot of stuff. And, you know, one of the other things, and I've told you this before, and I don't know if anyone believes me, but I read everything. I read Reddit. I read my DMs that people send me, my Discord DMs. I read it all. I can't respond to it all because I have no time. But I do read everything. And, like, for example, I've got a few impassioned players who will, like, tell me about their every bad beat and their every game in their DM and tell me, like, oh, this was frustrating. And, like, 2 of those were like, hey, glad there's no accountability in game development. You'd be fired for this patch. And it's like, bro, come on.
No, they wouldn't. Come on now. That's the kind of out-of-pocket stuff that you shouldn't be sending. Like, you're going too far. And hopefully the person who sent that realized that they went too far. And I also think that Mort should probably close his DMs off to most people, which sucks for our community, but I think it's best for his mental health. And I'm not a professional there either, so. But in all reality, there's nothing like this where you have access to the head developer and can send him messages like this. If I were in his position, I would stop reading and responding to the majority of people.
You know, only 2 death threats, admittedly, but still a
Death
lot of
threats?
You know, he should be fired, whatever. And again,
come on.
Like, that's all under the assumption that the Draven.
What are
thing
y'all
was my fault,
doing?
which again, as the shield, it is my fault. I let the Draven thing through, so I take.
It's a game, people. It's a game that we all love. Why are you sending death threats to somebody who's helped it out so much?
Accountability, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And with how much trust I had thought I'd earned, because trust is important, and then to see that reaction was definitely the first time in a long time where I'm just like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? I haven't played many video games. I don't have weekends. I could just take those back. Riot's happy with me. Oh, that's another crazy thing. The other thing is, again, because when I start reading these negative
honestly,
comments,
it wouldn't surprise me. Do it. Do it for yourself.
Negativity, and I make the mistake of looking at Reddit, which is just the worst.
That was definitely a mistake. Don't look at Reddit.
This one will always stick out to me because they were like, I guess Riot will just be happy because they have lots of players now and the game isn't good. And it's like, you realize we have lots of players
because the game is good.
Like, do you not see what you're saying here? You're like, make the game just for me, but I guess they're happy because they're breaking records with their player. Like, and I'm just like, I'm losing my mind. Like, because again, I want everyone to understand that we're coming from a good place and that we're doing the right thing. But there are some people just so out of touch. There's that famous quote where it's like, don't argue with idiots because they'll bring you down to their level and then they'll win. And it was a lot of that too. It was just like, you know, everything at Riot right now is like, holy crap, Set 9 is a success. Everything's great. You know, team's doing good. And then you've got these like salty people that are like, Legends were a failure. And
there's also always going to be that. Mind. There's always going to be a group of people that don't like it.
Time where I was like,
There's always going to be a group of people that don't like certain things that get added into the game. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Legends personally, but I just play Poro. Like, I feel like Legends gives you the option or gives a little bit more potential towards things like this happening with Draven being broken. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. But as long as it's balanced correctly and balanced in a day, guys, come on.
I was ready the first time in a long time I've been like, I should just not do this. I should be a normal human being. But after we got the B patch out, I was like, okay, time to go read and see what's going on. And that is when I can do this. Um,
At least his Twitch chat is supporting him.
just 1 second.
Our community, I think, is one of the better communities in online games in general
Okay,
for how
that is
good they
when-
are as people. So seeing something like this kind of messes with that reputation for us too. So just think about that.
I saw the positivity. A lot of positivity. More than I deserve.
We saw a lot of positivity after the B patch.
Rises thread.
Great.
Zoju,
And that is great on our
a
community.
bunch of people. Very kind. It was a lot. It was a lot. But it was what I needed.
Keep the positivity coming, everybody. Like, if you want to have access to someone like this, where they're putting themselves out in the open, being very vulnerable to the fact that he makes the game. So essentially, he comes on live and he's like, I'm making the game and I'm playing it because I love it. And you can tell him what you like and don't like. Take advantage of that and be positive about it. Don't treat them terribly.
Twitter DMs were full, just full of positive notes. I can't even 100 plus.
Good shit, everybody. I didn't even realize it would go to this.
It was very kind. And like I said, it was what I needed because it reminded me not to drown in the negativity. The game is doing better than it's done in a long ass time. People are enjoying the game. I got a lot of really touching stories about how Legends were allowing people to enjoy the game that hadn't in a long time. I got a lot of...
And that's something that I didn't think about either. Like, maybe certain players only really like playing with certain augments, and that makes them like Legends even more.
Stories about, how it's just been so much fun to play with their friends. Even from people who are like, hey, I don't personally like Legends, but my younger sibling who's special needs really likes how they can do it. Just so many positive things. And it was great. And it definitely told me, keep going, keep doing the thing. I just have to
honestly, I would
myself
still
that
understand
when you read
if
these negative
he
things,
wanted to step back a little bit.
99% of players are having fun, are thankful, are enjoying the game, are happy for what we do, and we're doing the right thing. And just to ignore it. So the thing I need to work on moving forward is I need to stop reading it, because I always want to read everything so that I can understand the game from every perspective. Because we need to understand everything, right? If players are miserable, why are they miserable? What is causing...
So I'm going to stop this. Yeah, you want to step back and not read as much. As a tiny content creator, I read every comment, and I'm not going to lie, I've felt this before where you just have somebody come in and be like, man, I'm trying to remember the exact wording. He was like, you live in a fucking fantasy land if you think this is good at all. It's not good. That was my first hate comment on one of my videos, and they didn't even provide any why. It was just kind of coming down and saying, well, this comp is terrible. Why would you post a video on it? It's garbage. And I got angry and I just didn't respond.
Causing them the pain, right? You have to understand the pain if you want to improve it. Now, everything's a trade-off, right? You can't make everyone happy, but it's still good to understand it just from
it's impossible to make everyone happy. You just make the majority you can.
There's just certain pockets of the community I'm just going to have to ignore. The other heartwarming thing is, I have to call it out, Setsuko had that bad moment, but he apologized. I don't know what caused him
After
to
I checked it on,
did.
Of course.
And so I was really happy that we had just kind of left it alone and Setsuko apologized. And I was really happy to see that. I was happy for all the kind words. It was reinvigorating. And so I'm still inside. I'm still hurt and kind of healing. But the good news is, in my career, I'm very resilient. I think that's one of the ways I've been able to work insane amounts and
by putting yourself available like that.
Everything I've been able to do. So I'll bounce back. I mean, even streaming today was a question mark on Thursday. But today I was like, no, I got to do this. Everyone deserves it. So I think that's the gist of it. But I guess I just want to end by saying thank you to all the kind words. Like I said, it really did kind of pull me off the ledge a bit.
Keep the kind words coming, everybody.
So I'm going to continue to try to be worthy of it.
Like I said, this is kind of the end of it. So, and Mort, of course, if you ever do see this, you are worthy of the praise. You're in a position, you put yourself into a position that not many people would ever put themselves in, and I don't wish it on anyone. Coming from a corporate environment person who has dealt a lot with customers, putting yourself in a position where you're available to all of your end users is insane. Like, the amount of people reaching out and telling you things and you having to read all of it and go through things, I can't even imagine some of the stuff you read. But that's going to be the end of the video at this point. Hopefully everyone watching knows, don't treat the devs like shit, especially in a game we all love and a game that frankly updates and does a way better job than most. If you want that to keep happening, don't treat them like shit. Also, free Mort on YouTube.